So the question we're all asking is it legal to shoot a trespasser in Florida? Wait, you guys didn't see the video? You didn't see the video of the world's greatest tarpon charter guide, captain, whatever, 40-year-old man, paratrooper, threatening a 22-year-old young man when he had 4 people in his boat and the 22-year-old was by himself? You got to see this. Then we'll talk about trespassing and shooting them.
Were you out the other morning?
What, like 5 in the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You busting me out?
Nah, that was the dude in that boat.
No.
Were you the one that came through the middle of the bridge? Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I was here, but you ran in front of the other dude over there.
You were cussing me out, dude.
Bro, you ran right through the middle of the bridge while we were all fishing.
In the middle of the night, the guy didn't have any lights on.
Bro, we were all fishing here.
Didn't have any lights on.
All right, bro, I'm not gonna do this with you, bro. I'm not gonna fucking do this with you, bro. Like, it's not the right time, bro.
You know the laws?
Bro, you can't come flying through the middle of the fucking bridge, bro.
Bullshit. Yes, I can.
All right, bro. What are you trying to do, bro?
What am I trying to
What are you trying to do, bro?
You want to go?
I don't want to fucking go. I want you to get the fuck out of here.
Big tough guy?
Tough guy? You pulled up on me, motherfucker.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Nah, I'm fishing, you like, bro, get out of here. Like, what? What are you trying to do? Act like a tough guy in front of your buddies?
No, I'm not. Dude, all these motherfuckers know I'm tough, motherfucker.
Bro, all right, bro.
You know what?
Get going, bro.
We're all fucking war veterans. We're all raised.
Well, thank you for your service, bro.
And you're going to talk shit.
Thank you for your service, bro. But that doesn't give you the right.
Yes.
All right, bro. All right, whatever. I appreciate you for your service, bro. But you don't got to run through the middle of the bridge, bro.
Dude, if your guy doesn't have his fucking lights
That's
on,
not my guy, bro. That's just another fucking dude, bro.
you have to have lights on.
My lights were on, bro. My lights were on.
Somebody hits you, guess what the fuck happens? You die, nothing happens to me.
Right, okay, bro. Keep thinking that.
No, that's the fucking truth, dude.
All right, bro. Keep thinking that.
Put your fucking lights on.
Bro, my lights were on. I wasn't sitting there. Okay, that's not my dude, bro.
Cuss me the fuck out for it.
Bro, I said, bro, you almost fucking hit him. The other dude was fucking cussing you out.
I almost hit him because he didn't have his motherfucking lights on.
Bro, you shouldn't come flying through the middle of the bridge. You know people fish here, bro.
Dude,
I'm sorry, man. I don't know if that's what you want to hear, bro.
yeah, you should apologize, motherfucker.
But, bro,
On the water more than you can possibly fathom in your wild motherfucker.
me too, bro. I'm out here all the time, bro.
I'm 300 days a year on the motherfucking water.
All right, bro.
Every day, I'm the best charter captain you will ever meet in your motherfucking life.
All right, bro.
And you cuss me out.
Chill, bro. Chill, bro. Please, bro.
Don't hit the fucking fire.
Please, okay, please, bro. Please, bro. Please, bro. Bro, I'm a kid, bro. Please.
Apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, bro.
You're gonna cuss me the fuck
All
out
right, bro.
In the middle of the
No, bro. Please, bro. Please,
Get me back to my
bro.
boat.
Okay. Please.
Fucking apologize.
I'm sorry, bro. That was not me, bro.
Yes, it was.
I know I was here, but my buddy was
Take
on the
me
boat.
back to my fucking
Sir,
boat.
I'm a kid, bro. Please,
I
bro.
don't care. You don't cuss me
Yes,
the fuck out.
all
and
right.
talk to me, motherfucker.
Yes, sir.
You don't do it.
I'm sorry, man. I wasn't like cussing you out,
Yes,
though, bro.
you were, dude.
I was driving the boat.
Did
Okay.
you not call me a fucking shit?
No, bro.
Yes,
that was
you did,
that was
motherfucker.
my friend on the. Okay, I'm
Okay,
sorry, bro.
That was your friend on the boat.
I'm.
What a badass, right? You know, first thing I did when I saw this video yesterday was immediately check on Florida's stand your ground laws. I knew they had such a thing. I just didn't know if it applied also to boats, which presumably speaking it should, because in most states, I know state of Louisiana, it does. Some people live on their boats. You cannot trespass and give the impression, and I'll get more on that in a second, of great bodily harm or endangerment or somebody fearing for their life without risking getting smoked. Which Mr. Captain Brock here, the greatest charter boat captain for tarpon in the world, or whatever he describes himself as, is very lucky that this young man was not packing or that cooler heads prevailed in the event he was, because I don't know that he wasn't. But I know that a lot of you out there who are watching this right now are thinking, this guy was moments away from fish food, right? He was about to become chum. Now back to my original question, is it legal to shoot a trespasser on my property in Florida? The right to defend yourself, your home, and your property from intruders and trespassers goes back centuries. It came to be known as the Castle Doctrine. But much has changed in the law of self-defense over the last 100 years, and it is important to know that, what force you can legally use to defend yourself, your family, and your property. This is not an attorneys on retainer commercial, but it could be. Who can use deadly force? Immunity from prosecution under the Stand Your Ground law. Stand Your Ground law changed the evidence of which police and prosecutors could base criminal charges. The statute addresses two levels of force, deadly and non-deadly force. We're going to go straight to using deadly force because I do believe that many of us could very much believe that a guy who would take the time to get his boat close enough to somebody else's boat and then jump onto that boat and chase a 22-year-old around that boat, that anyone that has that happen to them could reasonably presume that their life is in danger, because I don't think that's reasonable behavior to do that. So if somebody were to jump onto my boat with that kind of activity, again, chum, because I wouldn't do that to somebody else regardless of how mad I was unless they had done something to me, or more specifically my family. Nobody had done that. We knew what the story was leading up to the world's greatest captain jumping onto this boat. We knew what it was. We knew that this young man had not done something to his daughter or something like that. We knew it seems like an incorrect assumption that this guy had cussed him out or whatever earlier in the day. So we knew what led up to Captain Greatest in the World Brock jumping onto the boat. So at that point, we knew the backstory, just like the driver of this boat did, the 22-year-old. And we also would know at that point that I had done nothing, just like this guy had done nothing wrong. So Captain Greatest in the World Brock here was 100% in the wrong. I was going to say 110%, but that's not mathematically possible. He was 100% incorrect. Therefore, he appeared to be unhinged. Now, when we go look at his arrest record, I'm pretty sure that the 22-year-old would have had no problem defending his decision to shoot this deranged lunatic because of the criminal record that Mr. Captain Brock, the greatest captain in the world, has. According to a Johnny Jones, JK Johnny on X, he states, wow, Brock Thomas Horner has a bit of a temper problem. Felony battery, DUI, multiple offenses, theft of property, probation violations. So yeah, multiple DUIs. In fact, I believe I saw a charge on there of possession of a firearm on school property, and this guy's still out. So this guy clearly is a nut job. Now, I will say this, and I'm trying to be as fair as I can here. Greatest captain in the world, Brock here, his legal counsel, because he has gotten some by now, which he's going to need it, has come out and said that Brock fully apologizes and he's sorry for what he did. That means they're in trouble. Why else apologize? Especially, the guy's an asshole, right? I mean, clearly, he's inherently an asshole. I don't know any other way to talk about this guy. So, he doesn't mean the apology. In fact, the apology was kind of a backhanded slap, talking about sorry if it hurt people's feelings or made them scared or something like that. Something silly. But his attorney goes on to state that he was in fact a veteran overseas, and that I've heard people say that that's stolen valor, that he was actually worked in an office, that he's not the Army Ranger that he claims to be. But I've seen no official person stating that he was a desk jockey, that, instead of being a paratrooper, that, he filed papers. But nevertheless, his attorney comes out and says that he has PTSD, and he kind of uses that as an excuse, but says we're not using this as an excuse. Kind of a weird little angle that the attorney is using here. I think that's to set up what might be coming in terms of a court case, because I believe what will happen is he will get into serious trouble for what he did, threatening the young man and jumping on his boat and acting the way he did. And it's all on video again. I even went to his website, Tarpon Coast Fishing Charters, which, by the way, is no longer online, but the old Wayback Machine will take you back because the internet is forever. And it shows him hauling in what appears to be some beautiful tarpon. And of course, down here, it does in fact state that he claims to be a U.S. Army Ranger veteran paratrooper. Again, no one has officially, although social media is saying otherwise, no one has officially come out and said that this guy is not an Army Ranger or a paratrooper. So again, I'm just letting you know what the internet is saying at this point. Now, if we want to talk about presumption of reasonable fear of death when it comes to that use of deadly force, Florida Stand Your Ground law declares that certain circumstances create a legal presumption that a person using or threatening to use deadly force reasonably feared imminent death or serious bodily harm to themselves or one of their immediate family members. That presumption means that the deadly force user does not need to convince anyone that their fear was genuine or to try to describe its intensity. Instead, a prosecutor would need to present evidence to rebut that presumption if criminal charges were filed against the person using the force. The deadly force user enjoys this presumption of reasonable fear when the person against whom the deadly force was threatened or used was or had illegally and forcefully entered a dwelling, home, or occupied vehicle in the state of Florida. That would also apply to this boat, even though it doesn't say that on that boat. Everything that I've read with the statutes in Florida would imply that this also would include the boat. I just think that whenever this article was written, they weren't assuming that a boat would be in play when it comes to use of deadly force regarding reasonable fear or death. But again, read that again. Was or had illegally or forcefully entered a dwelling, home, or occupied vehicle / boat. I do believe he illegally and forcefully entered that dwelling, meaning that boat. Or if the person did or was trying to remove another person from a dwelling, home, vehicle against their will. I don't know that he was trying to remove the 22-year-old, but I think that first bullet point does certainly apply in this case. Now, many people were wondering if this had been reported to the authorities. Apparently it has. The Punta Gorda Police Department is aware of the incident involving a dispute between two adult boaters under the Baron Collier Bridge on April 1st, 2025. A police report has been filed with the department, and the incident is currently under investigation. Brock Horner could be in a lot of trouble. Greatest captain in the world might not be able to escape being the new fish in prison. Now, a firm called Brancato Law Firm in Pennsylvania had a pretty interesting write-up. They took this as an opportunity to give some hypotheticals based on this specific case, and it's pretty interesting. What charges could be filed? The footage raises legitimate legal questions about what charges could result from such behavior under Florida law. Most notably, the conduct could support allegations of assault and burglary of a conveyance, terms that carry specific legal meanings and serious consequences. For example, if the prosecutor files a single charge of burglary with assault, which this appears to be certainly assault, it becomes a first-degree felony punishable by up to life in prison. Again, fresh fish. While few people would argue that the incident justifies such a sentence, combining these charges gives the state leverage in negotiations. Outcomes could range from problem-solving court referral to probation or incarceration. And if Mr. Horner is a licensed boat captain, which he does appear to be, professional licensing consequences may also come into play. Now, this is where I was talking about some major things could happen here. There are different laws and policies that apply on the water. Some have even suggested piracy might apply, while the nautical setting invites that comparison. Piracy is a rare and typical federal charge. In more than 25 years of practice, this writer has never seen such a charge filed in state court, and there's little indication this case would be removed to federal jurisdiction. But again, nautical law is different, and it could apply in this case if somebody were to decide to apply that in this case. So it could be a little bit deeper than what Mr. Brock, the greatest captain in the world, thinks he's into right now. I would like to point out that, in fairness, Brancato Law, I still think did a very kind thing by posting in here what is Veterans Treatment Court. They go on to discuss that and talk about who is eligible. And I think that there were some other people online so far that I've seen that have suggested treatments and things to do to help somebody with PTSD. To me, that's coming from the heart of a kind person, and I think in this case, it should be commended. I do think Captain Brock, the greatest tarpon captain, charter captain in the entire universe, is just an inherent asshole, and I don't feel sorry for the guy for whatever happens to him. Again, I think he's very lucky to be above the tide and not below the tide. He could very easily be indirectly on somebody's seafood platter right now, if you know what I mean. So I think at this point he should be thanking his lucky stars that his 22-year-old was not a trigger-happy person, because he could have been legally carrying. Let's remember, in the state of Florida, one of the only ways and times that you can open carry, even though they claim they have constitutional carry, they do not in Florida, because open carry is illegal. But if you are fishing in the state of Florida, you can legally open carry. So Mr. Brock, the greatest charter captain in the world, is very lucky that this 22-year-old young man was not exercising his true constitutional rights and open carrying in this case, because again, bucket of chum, he very easily could have been. I'm not suggesting that's what should have happened to him. I'm telling you what could have happened to him. And there's a lot of people in this world who would not have been as nice as this young man piloting this boat that Mr. Brock forced his way onto.